I'm with Royjan Taylor and we are at the Kenya Red Cross. We're talking about, snakes. Okay, Royjan, tell us, what are we doing here, and tell me that amazing story.
Well, we're here to talk to Kenya Red Cross with our wildlife director who we've been working together with on snake bite. And really, Kenya Red Cross is well organized around the countryside with ambulances, and which sets us up in a position that perhaps they can help more than we have at the moment. So, we've been doing quite well in Kilifi. We've got a lot of snake bites, especially with this rainy season, and we seem to be keeping just ahead of that, but we certainly need more anti-venom. And to do that, we need to talk to partners, and we're here with Wildlifedirect to talk to Abbas Goulet and his team at Kenya Red Cross to try and improve, especially an immediate answer to anti-venom, which we are in very, very short supply at the moment.
So most people out there in the wilderness who I talk to say they hate snakes, they've always hated snakes, and they just want to kill them. You don't think so? Why?
No, that's not the way to do it. There's two very important ones here. One is if you kill it, you can't kill all the snakes. You think you will, but you'll miss one or hear two, and then tomorrow, your child is walking down the road and is bitten by a snake. We can't help you because we aren't able to get any venom from that snake to make an anti-venom. So it brings problems there. But also, snakes do an important part, a really huge part in our life. We have problems with rats. Rats and mice cause such a huge problem. And I'll give you an example on the Sabaki River, which is not far from where we live, in a place called Kakuyuni. On this side of the river where we are, we've educated the people over the years to learn which snakes are venomous or not. When they got a venomous snake, they'll call us, we'll come and relocate it, or it's used in the venom program.
Do they know the names of all the snakes?
In our area they do, yeah. So Tsatsapala, Vunzarere, Mongoluhandi, I know all the Giriama names of the snakes in the area, but it's taken years to teach them and learn. But on this side of the river, they've learned that, and they've learned to tolerate and live with the animals, including snakes. On the opposite side of the river, they have been systematically exterminating any snakes they see at any time. So we saw a really interesting thing a few years ago where it came through the rainy season. People planted maize, exactly the same rainfall, both sides of the river. One side, they've killed all the snakes, the other they haven't. And what has happened is, as they get to the end in the harvesting season of that year, you find that the side, on the other side of the river where they killed all the snakes, the rats have come and eaten. They've eaten almost everything. So they've only got about 20% of the maize out, as opposed to those that are living on this side of the river. So they've actually learned, if you have mango trees, you need these snakes in the trees, because birds aren't going to come and hang around eating mangoes when they know that there are snakes in there. So it controls it that way. And I thought it was an excellent example of explaining how snakes in an area do keep that down. So if you're a guy growing maize and things in an area, it's important to learn that. Those that are on this side are laughing. They're laughing at their brothers on the other side. In fact, I'm saying we should go there and get them to do the same. And they're like, no. So simple things like that, but it is important. These things are here. We should learn to live with them, like all wildlife. As soon as you start saying let's exterminate one thing, there's another problem here or there. So right. To be honest, they're our friends. Snakes make I know a lot of people don't like them. It gives them the creeps. You should really learn which ones are venomous and not. And then you tolerate to live them. They control all that mice and rat problem that you would have in your food. How else are you going to do it? What are you going to go and spray, or what are you going to put there to keep those rats
I'm
down?
a Kenyan citizen living in some urban place, Nairobi, Mombasa, Hola, or somewhere. How on earth am I supposed to learn about snakes?
You do, like everything else. It's good to learn the ones in your area is probably the best way to do that. So like where we are at Bioken in Watamu, people come and visit us. We show them, they learn all the snakes around by visiting the snake farm. You can do the same in Nairobi. Go to Nairobi Snake Park, learn there. They can show you. Once you've seen it in life, even if it's in a snake cage, you get a really good understanding. And what you might see at Nairobi Snake Park are snakes from all sorts of different parts of Kenya. If you come from Kakamega, you need to learn the snakes that are in Kakamega in that area. If you're in Nairobi, so for example, people say, I saw a green snake in Karen when I was in Mwoga, I thought it was a green mamba. There are no venomous green snakes in Nairobi. Hakuna. Your green mambas are found at the coast. You will find bomb slangs again in dry country down into the Mara, certainly along the coast. Your velvet green night adders, they're also again at the coast and sort of low-level countries, but there no. So your green snake in Nairobi is almost certainly going to be a Battersby's green snake. Of course, one must always be careful if there's a hitchhiker came in like a couple of mangoes or something like that. But generally, learn your snakes. Nairobi's full of house snakes, white lips, Battersby's green snakes. These things
And they're
don't
just
cause
harmless.
anybody. I see photos all the time. People send it on me or WhatsApp. Can you tell me what this is, what that is? I mean, you get puff adders here. You get blackneck spitting cobras. As you go down into Ngong, there are black mambas down as you go, you know, sort
Into
of
the Rift
Kajiado
Valley,
side.
yeah.
But here in Nairobi, we don't have that. Egyptian cobras, very few. I know years ago, Steve Spalls collected one at St. Mary's School. It was his first sort of record there. I know they're there around Nairobi National Park as you go into Kitengela.
But Nairobi generally is safe.
They are. I mean,
So-
and urbanization does just cover that. But certainly if you're in places like, you know, Karen, Langata, places where maybe you have a little bit of a large garden or so, spitting cobras and things are around. So be vigilant of that. And if you have a problem, call us. You actually call me or you call the Nairobi Snake Park. They'll send somebody to come and remove it. You don't need to kill it.
I'm going to post your number. But another quick question. So, Royjan, earlier this morning you told me about an amazing case of a child who was rescued from the Tana River during these floods, having just been bitten by a snake. Could you tell me in like a minute what happened?
I mean, so in that case, we've had a lot of snake bites coming into. We get the calls because of my numbers well known, and we do a lot of work with the James Ash Anti-Venom Trust, as you know. We had a number of snake bites. One of them was a child that had been out in a flood relief area. I believe that our governor, Kingi, had flown in with a helicopter and an entourage of people to have a look at the real devastation and the problems that are happening in that area. It's not funny. Kenya's got some real problems with flooding. Tana River, I know, is also very bad. But he'd gone to have a look, and somebody presented him a child that had been bitten by a snake. And fortunately, he said, we'll take him quickly to Malindi. He was flown into Malindi airport and then brought by ambulance to Malindi Hospital, which we've been working very closely with lots of different medics and doctors at Kilifi Sub-County, Malindi Sub-County Hospital.
How old was this child?
I believe he was 6 years old. He was treated with a vial of polyvalent antivenom, Cyma polyvalent, which we recommend. It's good antivenom made from African snakes, including snakes venom that we have provided over the years through Bioken. And yeah, he just needed the one. He got better immediately. He didn't develop the horrendous necrosis that can come from the cytotoxic venoms in puff adder bites. We believe it was a puff adder from both the description. His mother said it was a moma, which in Giriama is a puff adder. They know their snakes quite well down there, and also the symptoms did fit, you know, with a bite like that. Anyway, he got better. We were able to catch it early enough that it didn't develop, you know, large blisters. He did get some blisters, but they didn't burst. I even reminded his mother, whatever you do, don't burst them. So his mum stayed with him at his bedside to help, you know, nurse him and look after him. And I believe it was yesterday or the day before actually that he's been released. He's gone home and he's fine.
That's a really huge success
But you know what?
story.
If he didn't get that antivenom or that transport to where we were able to treat him, he could have lost his life, or even most certainly would have lost his foot or had complications with it. We have other patients in the same hospital. Again, anti-venom early, got better and have gone home. Others really problematic ones. We've got a girl that was bitten on the first story of a stone building up in Holla. So this spitting cobra made its way up into the house. We're not talking about a mud hut. It was bitten in the house. She took 5 days before somebody decided, listen, we really better go for some help. Still unclear as to exactly what happened there, whether they went to the Muganga or whether they just sat at home. But eventually she made it to Malindi Sub-County Hospital, and we got a call. Photographs came through on WhatsApp. Claire Taylor, our ops manager, had a look at that, and she was able to look at it. Did not look good. Even at that stage we thought, gosh, we may lose this arm. She was treated with antivenom, which at least stopped any further damage that was there. But what's damaged is damaged now. So they did some debriding, which means they cut the bad tissue off, which you have to do, otherwise you've got real problems. She was and then it certainly got a little bit better. She needed several times into theatre for debriding and sorting that out. And it was really, it's close to my heart because she's a sweet girl, 7 years old. I got to know her a bit because we visited the hospital a couple of times. And then I was really annoyed to find out that she didn't have any antibiotics. So, you know, we spent all this money on antivenom. We've spent the money.
How much was the antivenom?
Well, the trust donated it in her case because she can't afford to pay for it. It's about 12,500 shillings a vial. So she had 2 vials at the beginning. I'm not sure if she had a third or not. I'll need to check. But so there's money on antivenom. They've obviously spent money in theatre on fixing her up. And then she needs good antibiotics. I don't care who you are. If you've got a problem like that, you need antibiotics. You've just had the skin is all taken off your arm. It needs to be fixed. So I was really shocked to find out that there wasn't. So I had a quiet chat with her mother, and I said, you know, what are you going to spend money on that's more important than antivenom for your daughter's hand? She could lose her hand over
Antibiotics.
this. Antibiotics. And she said, oh, babake mekata, which in Swahili just means her father's refused. And
why would her father refuse?
but you know, some of those communities up there, the sort of cattle farming and nomadic people are very harsh that way, you know. And I guess if it was a boy, it may have been treated differently. And now with the chance that she may lose her life, we've seen this problem before. She's not going to be valuable as dowry or so, and so it's a horrendous problem. So of course I was like, silly, you know, I can't believe this is going on. We walked outside and we went to a pharmacy there, and we bought the antivenom, the antibiotics that she needed. Came back and I just paid for it myself. I thought, you know, it was about 7,000 shillings, but I just couldn't believe this is going on. So gave her the antibiotics. She got, you know, so of course you'll get better with the antibiotics, keeping an eye on it. She had several days went past, you know, we then made a phone call on Monday morning. We were going in to meet our CEC for County Health in Kilifi. And I just wanted to be up to date in that meeting, that I know where we are, what's going on with this, with snake bite issues, and which patients we've got and how they are. And then I heard that, yeah, you know, now long weekends, people have been on strike and what, and now this girl hasn't had any of her dressings changed for about 4 days, and as a result, there's some smelling coming from the wound or what. So back in theatre, get cleaned up again. And so, I mean, that's rare. We're not seeing lots of that. In most cases, we're actually seeing, you know, people in the hospitals are working and helping. So that was just, you know, maybe whoever's on duty didn't tell somebody else and something went wrong there. But this poor girl has had a hard time over that. I believe she's much better, you know, this week, and you know, I've got her in my heart. We'll see how we go. But there's a lot of that. We had a black mamba snake bite recently. A really, really tough case that if she did not get antivenom, I can guarantee you, Paula, she'd have died. There's no doubt about that.
So what you're saying, Royjan, is that the problem is, one, people and the way they behave around snakes puts them in danger, but two, once you've been bitten, getting access to antivenom quickly is really, really vital. And three, there is the problem in hospitals that sometimes the staff in the hospitals are not as diligent as you would like, and you can actually have kind of things going backwards, because if a child is left untreated for a weekend, or a parent is not going to pay for antibiotics because of some other cultural values associated with girls versus boys, it sounds like we need really a comprehensive program to address this problem. How big is the problem in Kenya? How many people die per year?
The problem we have is data. It's difficult to get data out because at the moment, with whatever reason, the government is busy and tied and what, they don't have a system in place that is recording snake bites. It should be like dengue fever. If you get dengue fever, you become a statistic and a number in a hospital, and then it goes to a central place where now they know how many people. If you ask how many people did we have dengue fever last year, they'll tell you. They'll tell you which towns, which areas, so that you can control it. We need to do that with snakebite at county level and at central government level, because how can we deal with a problem if we don't have that? From the work that we have collected and done with my team and experts that we've worked with, we estimate that Kenya's just under 1,000 people a year. And we're one of the few countries in Africa that's less than 1,000, because there are organizations like ours that are out there helping to fix where we can. Okay, I can tell you in Tanzania, Uganda, and most of the others, it's way more than that. So it is a problem. People for a long time have neglected that. They say, no, it's not, it is, but it's actually there. If you want to know, go into any hospital at a district level in a what we call a hotspot, which is usually a low altitude area. So if you go anywhere along the coast, so you know you're talking Kilifi, Tana River, Kwale, you go, you know, into Lamu for sure. You know, as any of the low altitude areas, you're going to have, because the number of species there are more, and so you also have a lot of rural communities, people working out in the field, and rainy seasons bring it because people are working with in the field, they're tilling the land. That's the time snakes have come out from estivating, so they are looking for mates, they're looking for food, and so the two knock together. So from a human wildlife conflict problem, it's a huge thing. That's why we get so many snake bites. I believe, both your organization, Wildlifedirect, suggested that it's 60% or so, and I believe that even talking to some KWS people, it may even be more than that. I'm sure Ministry of Wildlife will be able to tell us, but I believe it's higher than that.
I know for Kajiado, the southern part of Kajiado is 73% based on the data we got. So Royjan, anybody who's watching this is probably wondering, how can they help for a girl like the one you've just spoken about, whose parents couldn't afford the antibiotics? How could somebody help support the work so that we can actually save lives?
So let's say this, I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, I need people to put a little bit of money so we can help pay a hospital bill to go home, because that is going to be just fixing, like removing a tick. The problem is the place is full of ticks, so we need to make sure that this doesn't happen again. The first and most important thing is we need good anti-venom. We need good antivenom. And when I say antivenom, we need antivenom that is for the regional area that we are. So we have a polyvalent antivenom that we get from South Africa, which covers almost all the venomous snakes that we have right now. And they have also, that antivenom has been made using venom that has also been supplied by us that was collected in Kenya. So for a Kenyan, that is the antivenom you want to use. Unfortunately, we have a lot of antivenoms in some of the government hospitals that's made in India. If you're in India and you're bitten by a snake, it's great, but it's not going to help you here because it's not going to cover you. And I think, for whatever reason, it wasn't looked into properly when the decision to bring that use that antivenom was taken. So we've got this antivenom that was completely useless for us. It's not going to help us. We can't use it. So WHO is looking at, with people like Global Snakebite Initiative, to actually produce a new antivenom that is going to be for sub-Saharan Africa. But I can tell you, Paula, it's about 5 years away. So in the meantime, we need to talk to South Africa and get more antivenom. Our antivenom trust brings it into this country at the moment, but I can't bring in as much as I can. And here's a very important point. I'm a snake guy, as you know. I'm happy to be out there playing with snakes. I shouldn't even be talking to people about snake bite. But what we did is we created a very simple thing. We have antivenom for ourselves that is used on myself or one of my staff if we're bitten by a snake. So if I handle a spitting cobra like the one that you see here, this was actually taken in one of our cages at Bioken. If this snake bites me, I've got the right antivenom to treat it. So I got no worries. Mm-hmm. So as a result, we've got, Dr. Eugene Irulu, which is my doctor that treats my family, but also somebody that for 20 years we have worked with on snake bite. So you've got him to administer it. We've got the antivenom in hand, and so we treat people who come in for snake bite within Watamu. So the antivenom trust was set up so that I don't have to pay for that antivenom. People can donate towards it, and we do. So we have a 100% success rate in Watamu. Okay. 100. That means ukiumwa we treat you and you're fine. Slowly that has pulled us to a county level. We're helping Kilifi County in Kilifi County Hospital, Malindi Sub-County Hospital. They're pulling me to Mariakani now. So as a result, that has stretched it out, but I can't afford to cover that funding. So what we really need to do is to lobby government to come to the table on this and actually say, right, the first thing is we need to get the right antivenom in place. Second thing we need to do is we need to train the doctors and the medics on its appropriate use. Right. People are scared to use it. Oh, it'll give you anaphylaxis, what? But the difference is, if you don't give it, that person is going to die from that snake venom. There's not a tonic or a cup of tea or a lotion you can put that's going to fix it. You
or
need
a Blackstone. I've been hearing about Blackstone.
Blackstone is a myth. It's like electric shock and tourniquets. You don't want to use these things at all.
So can we make a donation to the James Ash Trust? I'm just going to show the...
Yes, we have. You can make a donation directly to the James Ash Antivenom Trust.
Okay, that is what I'm going to ask all my people to do.
I've got great news. This is a girl that was treated by a black mamba this week, and that is her today with the doctor. She's going home.